think about your childhood, the simpler times of life, when you were just, thinking about the silliest things, just playing around, not worrying about what to eat, not worrying about finances, not worrying about, taking care of your family, just being there as the one that is being taken care of. How do you feel? You probably miss that moment. We all do. You think about that moment and you wish you could re-experience that moment and, soak it in again and just experience it one more time. Now think about 20 years from now. How are you going to feel about now? Probably the same way. You just think about, like for me, for example, I probably feel like, I wish I could go back to in my 20s and experience that moment again. I miss it. I don't know what it's going to be like 20 years from now, but I imagine that I'm going to miss right now just the same way I miss my childhood. It just shows that this never stops. We always miss what we can no longer experience. What we do not have the ability to experience anymore, we miss. And that's why it's important to experience whatever you're experiencing to the fullest. If you're in your 20s, soak yourself into your 20s and experience it to the fullest. If you're in your 30s, the same thing. If you're in your 40s, the same thing. If you're in your 10s, I don't know if that's a thing, but if you're a teenager, the same thing. Soak yourself into that moment, experience it in its fullness, because you will never get that moment again. It's going to, that will be the end of that moment. The moment you turn 28, that will be the end of your 27. You will never experience 27 again. That is what life is about. That's how life is. It's in phases, and that's why it's important to romanticize every moment of it, because once you get past it, you're never getting it back again. When you wake up in the morning, the way you smell, all that stuff, romanticize it. You're suffering right now, romanticize it. You're going through a lot. Maybe you're confused. Life is complex. Be in that moment, experience it. Because the funny thing is, when you get out of that moment, you're no longer going to feel like that moment ever happened. It will just feel like, oh shit, that happened. It's all going to be in the past. It's all going to be history. And that's why it's important for you, if you're living life with the style of, okay, I don't want to enjoy the moment now because I am planning for the future. Once I get to this level, I will start experiencing life and I'll actually enjoy life. That's a big mistake, because the funny thing is, when you get to that level, your need for that big life doesn't stop. Once you get to that level, you create a new expectation and you start working towards that. For every stage of life, there is always something new to look forward to, and that's why when you get to that moment, you're going to create a new thing to look forward to. So you need to experience right now in its fullness, because you're never going to get this moment again. And all that thing you're trying to save for later, once you get to later, you will not want to do that, because you would now be on another level, looking forward to something bigger. And that's why now, while you're still looking forward to that thing, experience it as much as you can. It's important to romanticize your life. Love your life. The life that you have right now, love it and be fully part of it. That's why I believe in the idea of journaling or documenting, because it's such a beautiful way to romanticize your life and, just look inwards. Because oftentimes we get so carried away with what happens around us that we don't actually look inwards. We spend a lot of time looking at other people's lives. We spend a lot of time, monitoring how other people smell, monitoring how other people look amazing, that we don't spend enough time looking at ourselves and being like, yeah, I look good. I smell good. I'm doing a great job at life. We don't look inwards. And that's what romanticizing your life does for you. You begin to look inwards. You begin to have this moment of introspection where you look at your life. You love it, every bit of it. You know, you love how you laugh. You love how you talk. You love how you walk. You love how you smell. You love every bit of your life. That is what romanticizing your life is about. You know, you create, just think about a movie scene. How are movie scenes made? Something as simple as just drinking coffee in the morning. If you watch it in a movie, how is it going to look? It's probably going to look something like this. The person walks out, they show the details where the person picks up the cup and then goes to get the coffee, and then they probably show where the person is sipping it. You know, every moment is like a phase, and they emphasize every moment of that, you know, every process of that coffee, picking up the cup, getting the coffee, sipping your coffee. Like every moment was emphasized. And that's how movie scenes are made. And that's how you should, you know, look at your life. Every moment, everything, every step should be emphasized. Every step should be highlighted. That way you can see how big your life actually is, because when you look so much outwards, you begin to feel small, that, you know, you begin to compare too much, that you don't actually see how big of a person you are. So yeah, try to focus more on your life, romanticize it, love it, you know, have that introspection, look inwards, you know, appreciate yourself for how far you've come, appreciate every bit of your life, every step of your life, appreciate the moment. You're suffering right now, it is a phase. You're never going to have that phase again. Experience it, because once you get out of this phase, you're gone past the whole suffering phase, and now you're in some other phase. You will never have this suffering phase again. So experience it in its fullness. If you're happy, you know, if you're in college, experience college in its fullness. If you're working, experience that work in its fullness. Like, always give your 100% to your life. You know, experience your life as much as possible, because the moment you have right now is only for right now. Because one day from now, one day from now, you're never going to be able to access today. You know, 3 days from now, you're never going to access 2 days from now. You know, every phase is so as important as the next phase. So experience right now. We're not living life to, you know, as there is no, even though we have this ideologies as if when we are being religious, that at some point, like when you die, you know, there is this judgment, and some of us will go to heaven, while some of us will go to hell. You know, we all hope to go to heaven. You know, even though we have all that ideology, that is the afterlife. In life itself, there is no actual, you know, there's no actual eternal benefits that we get. Once we die, it's the end. Everything that you did, you know, just ends. So all these things we are trying to do, all these things we're trying to achieve, it's all going to end when we die. So why not experience life? The whole thing, the thing we're supposed to achieve in life is the experience itself and nothing else. So try to experience life in its fullness, be in the moment. Don't look too much outside, look inwards, appreciate your life, love your life some more, and trust me, you're just going to really have a happy life, because you're going to see how simple life can actually be. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope to see you in another video. Peace.